Coming up today in the Leipzig Loko, with Lokomotive Leipzig, it's the end of the third season in the league. Anyway, currently we find ourselves in a promotion playoff spot, but still we could go up automatically, or we could drop out of the promotion race altogether. Let's see if we can make our way up to the 2 Bundesliga. Hello everyone and welcome to episode 28 of the Leipzig Loko with Lokomotive Leipzig here on Sean Does FM. I hope you are doing well, and coming up today we do finish the third season of the Save, at least the free league part of it. We play our last 2 games at home against Duisburg before we travel away to take on the Bayern Munich seconds. And if we win both of those games, we will get the chance to go up to the 2 Bundesliga at the very least, because currently we do find ourselves in a promotion playoff spot. But there is a chance that we could also drop down further or go up even to the point where we could become champions. So a big last 2 games of the season coming up in today's episode. If you're looking forward to it, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated, but we're picking up right where we left off at the end of yesterday's episode. We took on both Elversberg and second place Heidenheim in that episode. Big win in the latter of those games. If you missed that one, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner, and that means going into these final 2 games of the season, there are still 5 teams who could go up to the 2 Bundesliga next season. The Schalke seconds are not one of those teams, even though they are in 5th place. They are a team who cannot get promoted, but Kaiserslautern, Ingolstadt, US Heidenheim, and Eintracht Braunschweig all in the hunt for promotion. You would expect Eintracht Braunschweig should be making their way up with a 3-point gap over the 3 teams behind them with only 2 games left, but in behind that still a real lottery with only goal differential separating all the teams between 2nd and 4th, and then Kaiserslautern could capitalise if any of us do make a mistake. So it's a real nail biter in the free league of this season. Hopefully this time we get the chance to make our way up to the 2 Bundesliga after we did finish 4th last season. The other thing, if you finish in the top 4, you do get cup football for next season. So at the very least, hopefully that is what we can do. But thankfully, no more injury concerns off the back of yesterday's episode in that 2-1 win over Heidenheim. And first up today, we take on a Duisburg team who are down in 8th. When we took these guys on earlier this season, we did pick up a 1-0 win away from home, so hopefully we can do something similar here at home, and having found a bit of form off the back of making some changes to our roles and our tactic going into that Ingolstadt game a couple of episodes ago. Since then, our form for the most part, apart from that draw yesterday against Elversberg, has been pretty good, and Duisburg, while they come into this one in some quite good form, 3 wins from their last 5 as well as a draw against SV Meppen, most of those teams are down near the bottom end of the table, so hopefully we can pick up another win over these guys and make sure we will give ourselves a chance to go up and make sure that we do keep our destiny in our hands. As I said earlier, if we win both these games, we are going to be getting the chance at the very least to go up to the 2 Bundesliga, but we're going to get pretty close to straight into the action today and then come back and see what permutations are going on prior to that final day of the season. And hopefully we can start things off well with a win at home over Duisburg. And here are the team sheets for this first game of today's episode. There you can see we come to this one in good form, and for the first time in quite a while on camera, we are at full strength. For Wusu makes his way back out on the right wing. Now he can handle 90 minutes over Danny Hermel. Duisburg going with a 4-2-3-1. Hopefully we can keep ourselves at the very least in that 3rd spot going in to that final day of the season. And just shy of the 15-minute mark, we get the first highlight in this game. It is a throw-in though here to Duisburg down that right-hand side. Murati tries to square that one for Sterling, but thankfully Ricardo Grimm there, good interception, and now Ziani will start to make his way in towards the box, albeit it's a block shot. Ends up being a weak effort. Safe save there for Clausen goal, and still after 20 minutes, it is 0-0. And roughly 10 minutes off the back of that opening highlight is a throw-in also down that far side, but this time it is in our favour as we do look to play out from the back, albeit poor clearance there, trying to find Ricardo Grimm, and Ampofo now has the ball here for Duisburg, but thankfully Grimm there does recover so far, doing a good job in winning the ball back for us in these two highlights that we have seen. Now Lucas Search there back for Haasman. We'll pump this one deep. Looks for a Tilgan. Headed down there from, I think that was Bitter, but thankfully we do get the ball now. Ziani just starts to cut and field. Nice ball there from Owosu. Ricardo Grimm, big chance, but unfortunately, big block there from Bitter, who did give the ball away before from that clearance, which was maybe where Tilgan was going for the ball. Kaiserslautern there are now 1-0 up over Kiel 2. That's something we need to keep an eye out on, and unfortunately can't control the ball off the back of that clearance from that corner. Good slide tackle there from Search, and it is still 0-0 coming up to the half-hour mark. And in fact, very shortly off the back of that previous highlight, now yet again a throw in our favour, this time the near side, right on that halfway line. Mikey Gulzetta starts to creep his way into the opposition half. Ricardo Grimm does start to go forward. Nice ball there for Micah Wosu. Tight angle, it's clear, but now Julian Weigel just on the edge of the box. Can't quite get a shot off, but now we're near Stowe far post there for a Tilgan. Gets his head on the end of that one. That goes just over the bar. A few good chances for us there, but still 0-0 just past the half-hour mark. And only a few minutes later, there is another highlight. It might be in our favour yet again, so it does feel like starting to click into gear about halfway through this first half. Zimmer starts to make his way infield from left back, tries to put a ball there into the mixer. Ricardo Grimm gets his head on the end of that one. It's a pretty scrappy goal, but we'll take it. And after a few good chances, we take what was probably the dodgiest of them all and pick up a 1-0 lead here just past the half-hour mark. Big deflection on that cross from Linus Zimmer, but Ricardo Grimm somehow just gets that one past the hand of Klaus, and we eventually take a 1-0 lead. And in fact, right off the back of that goal, another highlight here, albeit this time it is Duisburg who are trying to clear their lines, but it's been a good passage for us so far in these last 10 minutes. Hopefully it will continue. And it's Ziani here with a big chance, but big block there from one of the defenders for Duisburg, and they are lucky not to go 2-0 down, 1-0 a few minutes shy of half-time. And that was it for the first half in this first game of today's episode, and thankfully we do go into the sheds with a 1-0 lead. As you can tell, around the halfway stage in that first half, we really took control of that game, and thankfully with 10 minutes to go in the half, picked up that goal for a header from Ricardo Grimm, and are starting to get right on the front foot. It does feel like half-time might have come at the wrong time for us, but we will take a 1-0 lead into the sheds, especially just needing wins from these last two games to give ourselves a chance to go up to the 2 Bundesliga next season, albeit it might have to be through a playoff. At the moment, pretty happy with how the players are going, all on decent ratings, so we'll get things back underway with no subs made and a 1-0 lead. And just past the hour mark, no highlights so far in this second half, but just checking player fitness, and as you can see, 2 players out there are down to red hearts. They will both come off. It will be Tim Lehmann on for Ricardo Grimm and Anton Bulland for Osman Tilgan. Half an hour left, still 1-0 ahead. And just into the last 20 minutes of this game, a quick look around the grounds, and as you can see, on the right-hand side, second up from the bottom, Plussa Munster currently 1-0 up over Heidenheim, so that means at the moment we have snuck our way up to second and automatic promotion spots, and might be a chance for us here to go straight up to the 2 Bundesliga if we hold on and win this game, and then backed it up with a win away at the Bayern seconds. We are going to check on some player fitness here and make our next batch of substitutions with 20 minutes left. And this time it is Julian Weigel who is down to a red heart. No more midfielders on the bench. Mark Lamptey can cover that area, but probably not someone you want in a forward midfield role, more of a defensive midfielder who usually is a centre-back. So because of that, we'll bring on Ben Luca Fischer. He can swap with Panzo Ernesto, who can go forward into the midfield with 20 minutes left. Still 1-0 up, and now in second place on the live ladder. And only a couple of minutes off the back of that most recent batch of substitutions, we finally get a highlight here in the second half, albeit it is a free kick to Duisburg, and they are taking their sweet time over this one, which is concerning. It comes off the top right corner, and thankfully Zimmer is there to clear that one away. Off the back of that, we'll check the fitness yet again, this time Leon Heinke down to a red hearts, and now Mark Lamptey can make his way on the field. And also, this is our last stoppage. Ziani only going okay today on a 6.5. Can Kevin Zizek finally find his goal scoring touch with only 15 minutes left, and we are still only 1-0 up. And just making our way into the last 5 minutes of this game, we have just started to time waste a little bit, but there is one more highlight here, albeit good work there from Lucas Search to get us here on the counter-attack. And now Anton Bulland starts to play that one forward for Panzo Ernesto, of course, these days in the midfield role. It's a big overlap for us there, but unfortunately Lehmann takes on the shot from outside the box, probably had more time to try and do something there with one of his teammates. But thankfully, it does look like that was the last highlight that we will see. Really took control of that game late in the first half, even though didn't see a lot of action in the second half. But thankfully, Ricardo Grimm did score a goal, a pretty scrappy one with a header, but we will take it. And we pick up what I think is a pretty well-deserved 1-0 win based on the highlights that we did see, as well as the stats. And now it's time for us to check in on what the table does look like off the back of that game. Hopefully, Heidenheim did not come back, and that will mean we are in second spot. And indeed, that is the case. Heidenheim losing their 1-0 to Plussa Munster. But apart from that, all the other teams in the promotion hunt did pick up 3 points. So it does mean if we win our final game of the season, we are going up to the 2 Bundesliga. We'll come back shortly and see who's playing who before we get stuck in to that final match of the Free Liga season. And just stopping in briefly before we do play this last match of the Free Liga season away at the Bayern Seconds. Of course, last week we had an absolute clash against these guys 4-4 at our home stadium. They come into this one with just Ibrahimovic under an injury concern, so probably still likely to see players like Matthias Tell, who did score a hat-trick in that earlier game, so this could be quite tough for us away from home. And looking at the fixtures of the other teams in this promotion hunt, we might have the trickiest one. We'll run through these. First up, it is us away at the Bayern Seconds. The only team in that promotion hunt who are at home on this final day of the season is Heidenheim, but they take on a Hoffenheim Seconds team who have taken some points off some of these promotion contenders recently, so that could be a tricky one for them as well, especially off the back of a loss in their last 2 games. Of course, Plussa Munster, and prior to that, they did lose to us. Going down a bit further, Osnabrück are hosting Ingolstadt. That is a game you'd expect Ingolstadt to win, albeit Osnabrück certainly not a bad team. And going down a bit further, third from bottom, we have Eintracht Braunschweig. They are away at Bayreuth, who currently find themselves just inside of the relegation zone. It's a battle between them and Plussa Munster to try and stay up, but Eintracht Braunschweig, with just a point from that game, will become the champions. Otherwise, there is a chance for one of us or Ingolstadt to overtake them with a big swing in goal differential, and just below that, the last team in this promotion hunt, albeit it's a bit of a faint chance these days, but Kaiserslautern, they are in 5th. They are away to Elversberg. That is a game you'd probably expect them to win, albeit Elversberg have been the only team to take points off us since we did do the change in roles going into that Ingolstadt game at the start of this week. So those are the matchups on the final day of the season. Obviously for us it's quite simple. If we win, we should be going up to the 2 Bundesliga, albeit if Ingolstadt do get a very good result against Osnabrück, there is only a 2-goal differential difference between us at the moment, but hopefully we will pick up a win and just do enough in terms of that goal differential to stay in that second position, albeit this is a quite tricky game. As I said, FC Bayern Seconds, 4-4 draw at home early this season. Hopefully this time we can pick up all 3 points. We'll come back shortly and hopefully get automatically promoted up to the 2 Bundesliga. And here are the team sheets for this final day of the Free Liga season, mainly coming back for the Bayern Seconds. There you can see them still got Matthias Tell up front. A few changes though in other areas. In terms of us, we are exactly the same as we were for that first game of today's episode. And as I said, a win, as long as Ingolstadt don't blow Osnabrück out the water, and we will, we're getting automatically promoted up to the 2 Bundesliga. And we are underway in this one. I might try my best to do a full commentary of this game with all the permutations that could go on this final match day. Already Ingolstadt take a 1-0 lead away at Osnabrück, so they go above us briefly, but as long as we win this game, we should go above them as long as it stays 1-0. But now we have a corner here around the 10-minute mark looking for Leon Heinke at that far post. It is cleared away though by Bayern, and Lean finds some space here down this left-hand side, but already a bit of pressure on us with that early goal there from Ingolstadt, but we do get the ball back there. Eagleseder plays that one back to Harsman, these days a sweeper keeper, who was just outside his box, but now Zimmer starts to make his way inside of the opposition half briefly. Now Heinke, nice ball up there for Ricardo Grimm. Ernesto starts to cut inside Owosu, one touch. For some reason no one gets on the end of it, but Jamal Ziani does. He was onside, and we thankfully go 1-0 up right off the back of Ingolstadt doing the same at Osnabrück. that will change what just happens over in that left-hand corner just above my head. We should go back up to second. Not too sure why the other player there didn't take the shot on, but thankfully Jamal Ziani did and put that one in the top right corner. Maybe he was offside, and indeed he probably was. A good judgment there from whoever that was for us on the attack. We go 1-0 up nice and early, and it should mean that shortly when this live ladder does update, we are back up and second on the table and coming up to the 20-minute mark, 1-0 up, and hopefully getting automatically promoted up to the 2 Bundesliga. And now Osnabrück do grab an equaliser, which is even better. We have a corner which Heinke can't quite get on the end of, but Tilgen makes his way inside the box, tight angle, puts that one into the side netting as Ingolstadt grab their lead back. We'll adjust some opposition instructions. I'll get my breath back, 1-0 up, and still in second place. And getting things back underway off the back of adjusting those opposition instructions, nothing that you guys need to see there, just looking at our assistant manager, although we have picked up a couple of yellow cards here. Linus Zimmer can ease off tackles. We won't do that for Mike Edelzeder. Don't like my centre backs easing off tackles, but that might be 2 players we need to take off at halftime. Also there, it looked like Heidenheim and Kaiserslautern were leading in their game, so that does mean really put under pressure here so far in this one, but thankfully we did grab that early goal through Jamal Ziani. Thankfully that ball was played over the top, although it's a poor read there from Lucas Search, but thankfully Haasman comes up with a big save. OFM, they try to screw you at times, and that really felt like one that was very, very dodgy. As you can see, we are trying to distribute to the fullbacks, but Lucas Search there nearly hit a moment of madness, just slopping us on the ball. Hopefully won't cost us from this corner, and thankfully Haasman does come out to claim that. That is that highlight over, and we for now stay 1-0 up and in second place on the ladder. So far this has been quite an even game. We've had slightly more shots than Bayern, albeit that is starting to even up here late in this first half. But thankfully we go into the sheds with a 1-0 lead despite that poor effort late there from Lucas Search, nearly gifting Bayern a goal. And at the moment we are still in second spot and in that automatic promotion position. With those yellow cards that we did pick up in the first half, though, we are going to make some substitutions. Vufak will come on for Zimmer, and Daniel Hindu for Mike Edelzeder. Will also make sure that Vufak is not easing off tackles. Adjust opposition instructions yet again and get things back underway. 1-0 up and in second spot on the live ladder. And we are back underway in this one, just getting things kicked off here in the second half in that second spot, which is key. Hopefully Ingolstadt are kept under wraps there by Osnabrück just a little bit. As you can see, Heidenheim now 3-0 up and Kaiserslautern 1-0 up. Got them mixed up there logo-wise before with Victories. Good chance there from a header there for Bayern Munich, albeit would have been a scrappy goal, but thankfully that one does just go over the bar. But early days in the second half, Bayern Munich do get the first chance, and just past the hour mark, might be time for us here to go and check on some player fitness. And indeed, these days Lucas Search is down to a red heart. Actually, one of the players we have out there on quite a good rating, but on a red heart, probably not the worst idea to take him off. Hopefully don't regret this, but Ben Luca Fischer can come on for him, can do a job at centre back, so we'll put him in the position of Search for this last half hour, still with that 1-0 lead. And off the back of that substitution, we get back into the action here with around about 25 minutes left, and very shortly off the back of that, now it's a corner here for Bayern Munich. Rain will put this in towards the far post, gets a hit on the end of that. Big save from Haasman, and Ernesto clears that one away. Osnabrück now 3-2 against Ingolstadt. Thankfully, they are scoring goals, because otherwise that could be a game where the goal differential would have swung. So Osnabrück at the moment are doing us a favour. We enter the last 20 minutes here, and we are still 1-0 up in second spot, and it's time for us, I think, to make our last 2 substitutions. 2 players down to red hearts. Danny Hummel for Mike Owusu, and as well as that, Leon Heinke down to a red heart, albeit not a lot of defensive midfield options on the bench. Tim Lehmann will come on. Both our more attacking midfielders can play in that DM role. Just need to figure out which one might be more suited to the ball-winning midfield role out of Ricardo Grimm and Julian Weigl. So we just shuffle things around here and see what the best mix might be in terms of star rating, but it doesn't look like it's going to change things too much. So we might go on who's the best tackler, and it does look like that will be Ricardo Grimm, so he can go into that defensive midfield role for these last 20 or so minutes. still 1-0 up. And only a couple of minutes off the back of that final substitution for us, there's a free kick in our favour, but unfortunately Bayern there do head that one away. I might get a chance here on the counter-attack. Somehow Klanak does get in behind our defence, but thankfully big save yet again there from Harsman. Our defence did somewhat shut him down, and we're about to enter the last 10 minutes of this game. Still 1-0 up. Hoffenheim grab a goal back against Heidenheim, but at the moment that might not be enough for Heidenheim to get above Ingolstadt as well as us, albeit they did just make it 4-1 off the back of that goal back there to Hoffenheim. But here we have the ball down this left-hand side. Can we grab a goal, which should make sure we pick up all 3 points in this game and might just be enough to secure promotion to the 2 Bundesliga. Ziani there with a chance, but that one goes over the bar. We're inside the last 10 minutes. Bayern here, actually, with quite a few shots on target, which is concerning, but thankfully nothing in the back of the net so far. And with 10 minutes left, it's time for us to start time wasting just a little bit, also be more disciplined, and hopefully that will be enough for us to see this game out and hold on to second spot and get automatically promoted up to the 2 Bundesliga. Now we make our way inside the last 5 minutes. We'll just go there and see if we need to change anything again or opposition instructions. We'll play things safe, and indeed there are some changes here for players that we should and should not be triggering a press on. So we'll just sort that out and then get into the final stages of this game, still in second spot and with a 1-0 lead, albeit now it's a late corner here for Bayern. Vufak heads that one away, but they do still get the ball back there through Ream, put that into the mix a bit. Ziani will head that one clear. Now Jonathan's from outside the box, and that's a decent chance. Thankfully clips the top of the crossbar and goes out for a goal kick. 3 minutes of added time. Now only 2 minutes. Can we hold on to our second place? I think we might have, and might be getting automatically promoted up to the 2 Bundesliga. It's a scrappy 1-0 win, but we'll take it. In the end, less shots on target, but more XG. That early goal to Jamal Ziani proving key. This time we kept Matthias Tell under lock and key, and hopefully, in the end, Osnabrück got enough goals in that game against Ingolstadt to make sure that Ingolstadt will have to go through a promotion playoff. And it looks like, based on these answers that we can give, or talks we can give post-match, that is what has happened. And indeed it is the case. We started today's episode in that promotion playoff spot, but thankfully Heidenheim slipped up. We won both of our games and just do enough to stay above Ingolstadt on goal differential. So we, along with the champions Eintracht Braunschweig, are going up automatically to the 2 Bundesliga for next season. And back in the inbox off the back of that final day of the Free Liga season, what will be our final match of the season, because now we don't have to go through a promotion playoff. Thankfully made the most of Heidenheim slipping up in that second to last match day, and we pick up 2 1-0 wins, which is just enough for us to go straight up to the 2 Bundesliga. Ingolstadt will have to go for a playoff, which is where we did start today's episode, and I thought we might be coming back for that tomorrow and would have had to take on the team third bottom from the 2 Bundesliga, but thankfully we are getting up there, automatically coming back because we have our budget for next season. We'll see what this looks like, because honestly the finances here still not great, but hopefully they support us a bit going up to the 2 Bundesliga, where I dare say we will be one of, if not the relegation favourite for next season. But thankfully they are giving us a really good boost in our wage budget. That's going up to £48,000 a week. Transfer budget of only $5,000, but hopefully we can do enough through free transfers to strengthen up the squad that will be coming up in tomorrow's episode. If we go over and have a look at what that budget looks like now, it does mean an extra £23,000 or so, albeit some of that will come off when player contracts do get renewed at the end of the season. But that is a decent chunk of wage budget for us to work with going into our first season up in the 2 Bundesliga. So that's some good news there from the transfer budget. Also, lots of players here and staff happy with our work here at Lokomotive Leipzig. That means we've got 2 promotions in 3 years so far in the save, and a decent budget to work with in our first season up in the 2 Bundesliga. And before we can get to the end of season review, a quick bit of news that has popped up here in the inbox. First up, our facilities have been downgraded, albeit not too sure we have the finances to sort that out just yet. But also, we are having to expand our stadium by a whopping 550 seats, because otherwise we would not have a stadium that meets the league requirements. In the two Bundesliga, that will cost us £80,000, which is not ideal with the financial situation here at Lokomotive Leipzig. Back again to being a fair bit in the red, albeit we should get more money now that we are going to be up in the second tier of German football. But there's a bit more money that goes out of the kitty because we need to expand our stadium for the two Bundesliga next season. And we have made our way forward to the end of season review for our third season here at Lokomotive Leipzig, so we'll get stuck into listening off the back of that, go forward just a little bit more, because at the moment Ingolstadt are halfway through their promotion playoffs, so we'll see if they can make their way up to the two Bundesliga next season alongside us and the champions in Eintracht Braunschweig. First up, we do have the transfers. Signing of the season was in the Matthias Haasmann, new first choice goalkeeper, and to be fair, did do a decent job despite the fact he had the odd game where he did make a few shocking mistakes, but thankfully did a decent job in the end and has helped us get up to the two Bundesliga, a free transfer, as all of these were 7.11 average rating. As well as that, we did get in the likes of Tim Lehmann, Daniel Ahendu, Ben Luca Fischer on loan, Lino Labonte, who to be fair didn't make too many appearances, and Tom Bullen, a decent job as the backup out left to Osman Tilgan, and also Luca Vena in the midfield, who as well as Lehmann did a decent job when he was called upon in behind the likes of Ricardo Grimm as well as Julian Weigl. But it's fair to say most of our transfers that we did bring in this season did do a decent job, even those ones were a bit of a gamble coming from some of the Bundesliga teams with some low current ability, but thankfully it was a bit better when they did get here, and they did add some good squad depth for not much wage. Here at Lokomotive Leipzig, we did sell a few players at the start of the season just to try and help out the club financially. Got rid of Abdullah Mane and Nico Reblay. The board were okay with those fees that we got for those players. They felt we could have done more, but given our situation, did feel like we needed to just get the money into the club where we could to try and help us out and sort out the wage budget here at Lokomotive Leipzig. Also loaned out a few players. Don Brewer and Issa Dogan won't be here next season, but Kylian Zaruba might be, and thankfully did get a decent amount of football out there at Lübeck, so hopefully he might be able to step in next season for someone like Mike Eilsdeder, who unfortunately is wanting to move on to a bigger club and does not want to renew his contract. So that might be someone who does come in for a player who is on the way out. This season's results, we do have two competitions this season, got off to a rough start in the Free Liga. Thankfully changed some roles off the back of those first three games. It worked for a while. Then yet again, around about off the back of the winter break, we were struggling just a little bit and eventually sorted it out going into that Ingolstadt game a few episodes ago. Had a good strong run at the end of the season, and it did mean we jumped up from just outside of a promotion spot and got automatically promoted up to the two Bundesliga in second spot, albeit only on goal differential. That big 5-0 win over Ingolstadt, probably biggest game of the season considering they were the team who only finished just behind us 2 goals on the differential. Also this season, DFB Pokal, this was really useful in terms of getting some money into the club. Bayern Munich beat Dortmund 1-0 in the final. We did beat Glufer Fürth from the two Bundesliga 3-1 after extra time in the first round before Stuttgart hammered us in the second half in that second round, but that was expected with them being a Bundesliga club. Hopefully, now with that being secured as well for next season, yet again, we can have a decent run in that competition and get a bit of money into the club, albeit that might not be quite so much of a concern with us also getting a bit more money you expect being up in the two Bundesliga. Moments to remember, the biggest win, I'd also argue that was the match to remember, 5-0 over Ingolstadt only a few episodes ago. As I said, that result absolutely key in us finishing second instead of third. Match to remember, a 2-1 win quite early in the season away at the eventual champions in Eintracht Braunschweig. To be fair, without that error from Matthias Haasmann during the course of last week, we might have got very close to winning the title over those guys, but unfortunately that was not the case, and the goal of the season came in a 2-0 win only a few days prior at home against Bayreuth, and it was scored by one of our new signings in Tim Lehmann. We had a 1-0 lead after the first half in this game, and thankfully this goal did put bed to this game from a very tight angle. Finds that top left corner We scored a few good goals like that this season, but to be fair, that was a pretty nice strike there from the new midfielder at the club, who in this game did start over Ricardo Grimm, who was either coming back from injury or a little bit tired from memory, and thankfully that did seal a 2-0 win, which in the end, very important as were all our wins this season, with that small margin in which we did get automatically promoted by over Ingolstadt. The finances, everything here has gone up from last season, as you would expect, with all the work that we did do in the off-season, as well as the fact we did have a run in the DFB Pokal. Top shirt sellers are Tilgan Owusu, Ziani, somehow Kevin Zizek, who is another player who won't be here next season, wants to move on, and to be fair, hasn't really performed, so he'll be leaving the club as well. He won't be getting a contract renewed, as he doesn't even want to, but to be fair, we probably wouldn't have done that anyway, and Ricardo Grimm was fifth there on the shirt seller list. Going forward to the best 11 for this season, Harsman in goal, Ernesto and Vufak as the wingback, so it does mean that Zimmer did not make his way into this team, but Eagles that are in search are the centre-backs, Heinke, Grimm and Weigl, as you'd expect in the midfield, and the front three also pretty self-explanatory. Tilgan out left, Owosu out right, and Ziani up front, who in the end actually picked up a few goals, 19, which was good, because as I said, Zizek did not perform very well when he did come back from his broken ankle. Going forward to the accolades, Fans Player of the Season, I think for the second year in a row, does go to Osman Tilgan. The Young Player of the Season, Julian Weigl. You saw already the signing of the season and goal of the season, but obviously Ziani was the top goal scorer with 19. Owusu picked up the most assists with 12. Most man of the matches, also Ziani with 5, and the highest average rating was Lucas Surt, so a bit surprising he was not up there in the player of the season votes. Competition awards have not had any come through just yet. I think that's because we are still in the midst of that promotion playoff with Ingolstadt and team third bottom from the two Bundesliga and the record breakers. Jamal Ziani picked up a few on the right hand side, the most goals by a player in a match, in a league match, most player of the match awards in a season, the most league appearances by a player these days with 285, also has the most league goals by a player for the club in 134. Highest transfer fee received was the one for Khalid Abdulrahmane of £55,000, and the youngest goal scorer for the club now is Danny Hermel. That goal he did score coming into an episode a few days ago, and going forward to the history in the making, the spell of football. The start of the season apparently was the making of us off the back of that dreadful start, I would say, in those first 3 games. Thankfully, changed some stuff going into that cup game, and from there did start to get ourselves into the promotion hunt and going forward to the dynamic manager timeline. And this is all that has been added to it here in 2024/25. We've got a new assistant. Ziani has now seen him go to the top of the list of most games played for the club. We did bring up 100 games in charge with a 3-0 win over Victoria Cologne. We also signed someone on a free transfer from our youth intake, I believe that was, or that might have actually been a free transfer for a player who will join us come the start of next season in Kevin Eisenmenger. And we did go up to the 2 Bundesliga, which to be fair is a notable achievement, but to be fair, most of that stuff not really important that has been added there to the dynamic manager timeline so far. That feature a little bit underwhelming in this year's game, I think. It is fair to say also players inducted into the overall best 11. Eric Vufak and Matas Harsman make their way into the overall squad, albeit neither of them make their way into the starting 11. It does look pretty close to our starting 11 from the season, apart from the fact Issa Dogan is in goal over the newcomer in Matas Harsman. And if we go up and have a look quickly at the DFB Pokal review, you can see we were the biggest overachievers making our way into the second round at the expense of the biggest underachievers in Gullifer Firth. And going forward a little bit further, because the season has finally finished here in the Free League off the back of the end of the promotion playoff. First up, the top goal scorer. None of our players were involved in that, but unsurprisingly, Matthias Tell from the Bayern seconds did pick up that award, but thankfully, we did pick up the manager of the season over the likes of the Ingolstadt and Schalke seconds manager. Interesting to see no sign there of the Eintracht Braunschweig manager. Going up a little bit further, Team of the Year, Michael Wusu did make his way into that. That's the lone player that we do have in that squad, otherwise mostly made up of Eintracht Braunschweig players, with one other there from Heidenheim and Ingolstadt. And going over to the table, there you can see the results from the promotion playoff, and in the end Ingolstadt held on to a 2-0 lead from the first leg at home and are making their way up alongside us and Eintracht Braunschweig to the 2 Bundesliga for next season at the expense of Hansa Rostock, who will be going down and popping up quickly to the Bundesliga to see which teams are getting relegated down to our division in the 2 Bundesliga. And Stuttgart are staying up there off the back of winning a playoff against Paderborn, so they'll be staying down in the 2 Bundesliga. Stuttgart, of course, the team that did beat us heavily in the second round of the DFB Pokal, so not too disappointed. Those guys will be up a division above us next season, but the teams who are going down are Fortuna Düsseldorf and Augsburg. Some tough games for us to play against those guys, no doubt, next season when they do make their way into the 2 Bundesliga yet again. Bayern Munich were the champions, and RB Leipzig yet again do not win a trophy, but do continue to get Champions League football, as do our senior affiliates in Eintracht Frankfurt. But I think that will do it for today's episode, the end of Season 3 of the Save and We Do It, going up to the 2 Bundesliga. If you enjoyed today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. We'll come back tomorrow and get stuck in to the transfer window with a decent amount of wage budget to play with, albeit it might go down once we do get those contracts renewed come the start of the new season. But hopefully we can sign some decent players who will help us hopefully stay up in the 2 Bundesliga, albeit that will be easier said than done. So until tomorrow for a transfer special, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.
Thought I could do this, laugh through the sadness. Don't know